Hey babes, welcome. Oh, okay. Welcome back for another impromptu live. Today, I wanted to talk about something that's not really what. Today, we're talking about poop. so today, I just wanted to share with you guys some things that I have been doing to be more regular. So, if you have fibroids, or really, I mean, really, everybody should be working on going to the bathroom more often. I think a good number of times is like 3 or 4 times a day. And so I am going to share some things with you that I've been doing that I think work really well, or that have been working really well for me. And I'll have some time at the end to take some questions, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into this because I have a lot to cover and I don't have a lot of time to cover it. Again, if you are someone who has fibroids, especially, or are dealing with, painful periods, any of those type of things, one thing that you really want to be mindful about is how frequently you are going to the bathroom. And sometimes I know this can be one of those things that it's just something that unless you're feeling bad, like unless you're bloated, unless you're constipated or something like that, you might not necessarily be as aware of. But I really want you to start paying attention to how frequently you are going to the bathroom, especially if you are trying to get rid of things like fibroid symptoms and painful periods. So I'm going to share things that have worked for me, and the first thing that I cannot emphasize enough, I feel like I talk about this almost every video, is hydration. Hydration, hydration, hydration. And just like I say in every other video, not just drinking water, but making sure you are drinking water that has some life in it, that you are drinking either spring water or water that has been mineralized, or I use filtered water, but I add electrolytes to my water. And so there are lots of different electrolyte powders out there. Right now I kind of go back and forth between the perfect amino ones. I think I'm gonna end up sticking with that one. I think Ultima is the name of the brand. Theirs are pretty good. I use another one. I think it's called Hydrate. But there are a couple different ones. The only thing that I would say is be careful with those. Be careful about how much sugar is in those. I personally don't like. There's a popular one. I think it's called I Liquid IV. That one I stay away from. It has too much sugar. I think they do make a zero sugar one, but that one is just a no go for me. But just make sure you're reading the ingredients. But you're going to need hydration. Another way that you can get hydration is through eating more high water content foods like cucumbers, melons, what are some berries. Pretty much most fruit is gonna have a pretty decent water content in it. So you want to be consuming more of that stuff as well too, because you can actually get hydration food, from food and from what you are drinking. I drink coconut water almost every day. Thrive Market has my favorite coconut water, and the price is great on that. So that's one that I like to do all the time. But just trying to make sure you are actually hydrated, because what I've noticed is that as long as I'm hydrated, as long as I'm drinking enough water, I just tend to be more regular. It like I don't really have to think about it as much as long as I'm getting that proper hydration. And another thing that you can do which kind of goes into my next tip, or the next thing that I like to do is drink teas that are good for digestion. So one of my favorite teas is called Minty Mix by this brand. I think it's called Jaida Che, and it's a couple of black women based in Atlanta, but they make a tea called Minty Mix, and it has mint and lemongrass in it, and it's just things that are actually are herbs that are actually good for your digestion and that help with bloating. So finding blends like that can be super helpful, because in addition to getting those herbs that are going to be good for keeping that bloating down and good for helping with digestion, also having that hot water helps. And that brings me to my next tip, which is I stick to room temperature or warm or hot drinks. Now, people have different opinions about this, but I just noticed that I feel better. I'm not really a cold drink person. Like, I'm not one of those people who needs my water to be ice cold. And there is actually some belief in Chinese medicine or traditional Chinese medicine, that if you are someone who has stagnation in your body, which they believe that's what causes fibroids, is stagnation in the uterus. So you should be avoiding cold drinks and cold foods and raw foods. But I just have never been a fan of drinking very cold drinks. It's just not my thing. So I love a room temperature or hot drink every single time. So it's really good for me that that's actually been, or that there's that belief there that that's going to be good for digestion and for kind of getting rid of some of that stagnation. So that's something that I believe is super helpful. It's something that I do, even if it's just warm water with lemon. Even if I have my smoothies, I will actually drink my smoothies. I'll let them sit for a while before I drink them so that the temperature on them can kind of go up. I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but you want it to be like very liquidy. I like for my smoothies to be very liquidy. I'm not a person that likes to drink like the cold, slushy smoothies, but that's also because I want to be able to digest those things well. And if you see me looking down, it's because I got my notes down here. Now, my next tip, or the thing that I like to do, and I think everyone should be doing, is getting more fiber. Now, I will say, now that I am so much more mindful of how much fiber I'm getting, it is actually pretty difficult. Even with me eating so many vegetables with every meal, trying to get those servings in, it can be very difficult. So I have two different hacks that I use to make sure I'm getting enough fiber. My first hack, now I don't supplement. Some people like to supplement fiber. That's not my thing. But one thing that really helps me is I have my favorite pre workout snack is a green apple. I mean, it doesn't really matter what color, but I just like green apples. So I'll do a green apple, some nut butter, maybe like a tablespoon or two, depending on how many calories I'm trying to get in. So I'll do a tablespoon or two of any kind of nut butter and a tablespoon or two of chia seeds. Now you'll want the amount of chia seeds you have to be the same as the amount of nut butter you have. And I mix the chia and the nut butter together, and I'll eat it with the apple slices. And I find that that helps me you can get almost half your fiber intake for the day just with that snack. And like I said, it's a really good pre workout meal. Whenever I eat that, I'm not starving after my workouts. So Again, great choice for getting your fiber and just feeling full for a long time. Another thing that you can do is just do a fruit bowl. Like if you're one of those people who maybe you have a kind of sluggish digestive system and you need to kind of warm up, like some people can't just eat immediately. Maybe your digestive system is not there yet. I used to be like that. Another thing you can do is just try getting a big bowl of fruit and having that as your first meal of the morning. And now some people respond well to this, some people don't. And I think that's got something to do with like your blood sugar and regulating your blood sugar. But what I find with that is not only are you going to get a really good amount of fiber, especially if you're doing berries or even melon, you'll also get some hydration in to some other hydration aside from whatever you're drinking that morning. So, those are two great options for you to start the day with that can help you get some fiber in. And also, I want to call out too when I say a big bowl of fruit, I don't mean just like a little. I mean like a big bowl of fruit, like a salad bowl of fruit, almost as much. Like you want a nice size of fruit. I would say probably about 3 servings of fruit in that one sitting. That's how much you want to be eating if you're gonna go the fruit bowl route. Another thing that I have been doing more recently is massaging my abdomen. And I will sometimes I use an oil, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll use castor oil to do it, and sometimes I don't. But what I find with this, especially when you do it in the morning, I feel like that first bowel movement of the morning seems more complete. At least that's been my experience with it. Um, and I don't even do like a full whole thing. It's just a quick little massage for a few minutes in that circular motion. You want to make sure you're going in the direction that your colon flows, not the other way. But I find that, like I said, it gives you just like a more complete bowel movement. And yeah, it definitely will help. I would just suggest starting out gently. There are lots of videos here on YouTube where people show you how to do it and how to do it properly. It doesn't have to be this whole it doesn't have to be a whole big thing. You can literally do it for a few minutes after you wake up in the morning. Of course, you don't want to really do it right after you've eaten. Now, another thing that I find to be helpful, but I really struggle with, is chewing your food thoroughly. And this is like such a common thing. So many of us don't actually chew our food properly. And once you slow down and start thinking about how you're chewing, you'll realize how much unchewed food you swallow once you start slowing down and really taking the time to think about it. So, of course, one thing to do is to eat smaller bites, but I will actually count how much I'm chewing. So I'm doing at least 30 chews per bite, which it seems like a lot. And when you are first doing it, it kind of feels like a lot to your brain because you're not used to paying attention to how much you chew. But it makes a huge difference in your digestion. And one of the things that you're going to have to do with this is eat un have your attention fully on eating. And honestly, that is something that is hard for me because I'm used to multitasking when I eat, which is a horrible habit, especially if you are dealing with digestive issues or have poor digestion. But it can make a night and day difference in you being bloated after a while you're eating. Now, the last thing that I like to do is, or that I've recently started doing, actually, I've done it before, but I just started back using digestive enzymes. So I recently ordered Perfect Aminos. I've talked about their aminos. I use those, love them for working out, but I now started using their digestive enzymes. And I can't really give like a full on review on that yet because I've only been using them for I think maybe a week now. But so far I have noticed a difference in, me being bloated, especially right now because I'm in luteal phase, and me in that luteal phase bloating is just, it's a lot, but I've noticed that I have been less bloated since I have started taking the digestive enzymes. And I noticed that my bowel movements are better when I'm taking digestive enzymes. Now, I personally don't take them with every single meal. I mostly take them if I'm eating a more carby meal, if I'm eating grains or just a larger meal, or sometimes I'm just like eating too close to bedtime, so I'll take them just to kind of help, give my digestive system some assistance. But I do think that they are worth trying. I will say I've experimented with a couple different brands, and so far I've only found two brands that really work for me. But I think that's one of those things that's kind of like with the probiotics, like you might have to experiment a little bit until you find what works for you, as far as, finding the proper supplement that's gonna work for you if you do decide to do digestive enzymes. Okay, y'all, let me see if I had any questions. I don't know why. Um, okay, I don't see any questions, but thank you so much for watching. I know I keep doing these impromptu lives. I'm just, y'all, I want to have a schedule for this, but my life is just too crazy right now. So I'm not even gonna tell y'all that I'm gonna try to do better about announcing my lives because that's just not my reality right now. But if you are watching this after the fact and you leave a comment or a question, I will answer your question, so don't worry about that. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and share it with someone. Share it with someone that might need help with this or might be struggling with digestive issues. They might find this video helpful. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.